Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Andy Atkins-Pogue. I'm a librarian here at Cosumnes River College, and I am also the faculty lead for CRC's initiative to become a zero textbook cost college. We're hoping primarily through open educational resources. And I'm here today with my colleague, Kelsey Ford. I'm going to let you talk about yourself a little bit, Kelsey.
All right. I am Kelsey Ford. I teach English here at CRC. I've been using Perusall for quite some time now. I shifted for a little bit to another tool called Hypothesis when we had it embedded in Canvas. But since we no longer have that, I've been using Perusall, and I'm excited to share with you guys today what I've been doing with it and to get to know maybe some of the uses that you might have for it as we begin discussing things here.
All right, I'm going to let you go to the next slide.
Sorry, I forgot I had control of this.
That's okay. Perusall is what they call a social learning and annotation tool. It is a tool where students can interact together on the same written material, or there's other types of material that they see on the screen. So you can set it up so that it's everybody is annotating on the same document or piece of information, or you can actually set it up so that you have folks working individually or in small groups. And last year, we requested and got it connected to Canvas through an electronic connection that's called an API, which allows us to integrate it into Canvas courses. And then it doesn't require students to create an account. It's automatically embedded within the course, and then you can add things to the library. And the benefit of that is that students don't have to, then you don't have to give a lot of instruction on how to find it and how to create an account, because that is all seamless and it happens already. So the tool was created by faculty at Harvard and at UT Austin, and according to Perusall, it's now used by more than 5 million students and thousands of colleges. Next slide. So what is social or collaborative learning? It allows students to, everybody working on the same piece of information at the same time, so that they, and it's done in I want to say kind of a playful way, in a way that is more in tune to some of the social networks that students might be doing in their everyday lives, so that they can comment, they can add GIFs, they can add images, they can add emojis. And of course, you as the faculty member could put some parameters in there, but it allows students to understand the information a little bit more in an environment in which they're very familiar already, because most of our students are already working in these social environments on a social level. This sort of brings an academic element into it.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why you might want to use Perusall. Often, as you know, we assign content to students and they might not read it or watch it or listen to it for a number of reasons, but some of the main ones are they don't really see it as a necessary part of the course, or maybe they get stuck trying to digest some challenging material on their own. And thirdly, maybe you're not necessarily recording it as a graded assignment. So you say, read this item or watch this video, but there's no grade attached to the actual reading or watching of it. So you might want to use Perusall in order to deal with some of these issues. How can Perusall help? Well, it helps the students to engage with the content. They can highlight and comment on text. They can add comments to videos, audio, and podcasts. So it becomes a much more active experience for them. They can engage with their peers. They can tag other students. They can add, as Andy was saying, GIFs, emojis. They can create polls. They can share videos and images that connect to something that they're reading or watching. They can upvote different comments or questions so that their peers can see which things they're finding really important, or you as the instructor can also see that, which leads to the last one, which is the tailored teaching. You as the teacher can use the comments and the questions that students are generating to tailor activities and assignments to what the students really need. So if you're noticing that students are struggling with a certain part of a text or a video and they're just not understanding something, that becomes very clear when you see the comments they're making or the questions that they're generating. I did take a couple of screenshots to show you what this looks like in my courses, but I'm also going to bring you into one of my courses and show you a few other things. In this screenshot, you can see that I have integrated a web page. So this is an actual website. You can see all the ads and everything on here. Um, and you can take any web page and do this and just put it right in. And what Perusall does is it takes a picture of the website at that particular point in time. So if anything changes on the website later on, that's not going to show up if you decide to use this article again next semester or something like that. So just keep that in mind. But you can see here that there are, sorry, I don't know if you guys are seeing my little reboot thing there. Let me get that out of the way. um, you can see here some different highlights that are going on, and those connect over here to different comments. I know this is a little bit small, so again, I'm going to blow this up into the real Perusall in a moment, but I just wanted to give you a sample of what a web page looks like when you integrate it into Perusall. And then this is what a PDF would look like. So it's a little bit more like a regular document that we're used to seeing. It doesn't have all the links and different things that are going on with the website. But same thing here, you can see highlights. And if you were to click on these, they would connect over to specific comments as well. I know there were some things in the chat. Andy, are you monitoring that, or does anybody have questions so far?
The chat is just me putting the survey or the attendance log in there. So no questions yet.
Awesome. And you guys, if you do have questions, feel free to stop us. And this doesn't have to be like a presentation per se. We're happy to talk as we go. So this is my class, and this is that same article that I just showed you from Vanity Fair called Witness and Despair by Jessamine Ward. And if you scroll down, if you're in here, so if you're the student, or the students menu over here looks a little bit different, but it looks very similar to what this looks like. And I'm going to give you all an opportunity to try it out in a little bit here too, so you can see the student perspective. But what you'll see is over here on the right, you have the assignment information that you as the teacher have put into Perusall to guide the students and explain what you'd like them to do. Generally, I give them a number of annotations that I'd like them to do, just to kind of something to work towards, and then some things to focus on as they're looking through the article. And then as you're scrolling through, you can see, again, this is a previous class, so there are student comments. If I were to click on them, I could see what this student said about this particular item that's highlighted. And there's also a way over here where you can turn this to only your own comments. So right now it's in all comments, so I can see everybody's comments. But if I was a student, I might want to just see my own comments. And so I could toggle this to just looking at my own comments. And then it would be, focused on the things that I thought were important or significant. But as a teacher, you probably want to see all of the comments. And as we go through, you'll notice that students tend to comment a lot in the beginning because they're a little more engaged there. And so one of the challenges that I have is making sure that they understand that it's important to annotate throughout the entire document. And Perusall does have some settings in place in the gradebook where you can actually grade based on engagement and whether they spent time on the whole document or how they commented. They have some pretty extensive analytics in their gradebook. I generally don't use the gradebook myself because I want to manually grade. I want to see what the students' comments are. And you can select one specific student for an assignment and see everything that they commented on as well. So in that way, I tend to grade these separately. but you can have Perusal grade for you. And I did go to one of their webinars, and it's pretty interesting to hear how all of the analytics work. Okay, so as I'm just kind of scrolling here, I wanted to show you a few comments later on in here that I thought were kind of interesting. So this article is about the pandemic, but also about the Black Lives Matter movement. It's super interesting, and Justin Ward is an excellent writer. So if you've never read it, I highly recommend it as well. But here, the students started to really get engaged when we got to this point where she was talking about the George Floyd situation, and she's quoting these things as their own lines here. And so students were starting to see, oh, she's able to connect with other people's grief. And they were really relating to this and noticing like some of them were able to connect with feeling the same way like this. I remember when the protests were happening, and so they're relating to the material in a lot of different ways. And you can see this particular one really generated quite a few comments. People were really, looking at this particular comment and being able to think about where they were at in this particular time period of their lives. Um, and then, we start to get some other comments, but they were really engaged with this particular article and they were commenting on a lot of different areas of it. Are there questions so far? I just wanted to pause here for a moment. So this particular article, a lot of the content is what I wanted the students to engage with. I wanted them to think about how this writer was getting us to experience things emotionally. And then you might have other instances where you want to really have students look at the form or the structure of something. And so your instructions would be more geared towards, looking at those types of things as well. Um, as the instructor, you can also insert questions within the document before you come in and have the students respond to those questions as well. I'm going to show you the other assignment that I had. I think that I grabbed the page from here. This was specifically about writing. So I wanted the students to do something different with this one. You can see here that I'm asking them to think about how the ideas in this might give them ideas for their own reflections or their letter to the reader assignments that they're going to be working on. So my focus for them here is not so much on the content, but on how is this particular article giving them ideas for how they might complete an assignment in my class. Um, anyway, I wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys so you could see what it looks like. And then we're going to come back and just look at how do you actually annotate so that you guys can practice this as well. So let me go to the next slide and play this.
Hey, Kelsey,
Yeah,
before you continue, there was a question. Do you ask the entire class to annotate the same document, or do you split them up into smaller groups?
that's a great question. So it depends on what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I will break them into smaller groups. Most of the time, I have the whole class looking at a document. But for example, in my intro to literature class, I break the students into a group assignment where they look at different literary theories. And so each group has a literary theory. So what they'll do is we're all looking at the same short story, but I break them into groups based on their literary theory and they all annotate that together. And then we come back together in class and we look at, so if you were, doing psychoanalytical theory, here's some of the things you might be looking for. Look at what this group noticed. And then we might pull up and say, okay, if you were looking at the new historicism literary theory, here are some of the things you might have noticed. And then they get to kind of see how other groups responded based on a certain lens that they're using. So you can put them in groups. You can definitely do small group stuff with this as well.
And then I know you're about to share the video, and I forgot to remind you to share audio, so I don't know if you did that.
Okay, I think so, but let me just check. And if not,
Okay.
I'll have you screen share.
Okay,
Okay.
and folks, we do have a Canvas course set up where you're going to be able to practice this in just a moment. So I'm going to put a link to that in chat. It's a self-enrollment course. And as you're listening and watching this video, you can maybe enroll in the course so that we can practice after this is done.
Yes, thank you. Okay, audio settings. I'm just double checking here. Okay, I think it's all good, but if not, we will have Andy share. Okay. Can you guys hear this? No? Okay. Andy, I'm going to go out and you feel free to share screen here because I don't want to waste everybody's time.
Okay. Get on the right slide before I share it.
While Andy's doing that, I noticed Aaron's comment in the chat about making material available. Yes, you can upload PDFs. You can share a website. Andy's going to go over some of the different types of material you can put into Perusall, but it's super easy to put anything in there. They even have like a library of textbooks available in there. Some of them are free, but a lot of them do charge students, and you can use material from those textbooks too. You can even use LibreText material from OERs, and Andy will talk a little bit about that as well.
Sorry, I clicked something and the video started. So
that's okay.
this video is to give you a little background on how you actually comment as if you were a student. So it's short, it's 3 minutes. We'll watch this and then we'll practice a little.
To add a comment, highlight text by clicking and dragging your cursor over a section of material. You can also use the figure annotation tool to either click to drop a map pin anywhere on the page, or click and drag to create a rectangular highlight anywhere on the page. A comment bubble will appear on the right sidebar. Type out your comment and press enter on the keyboard, or click submit. Perusall also gives users the ability to customize comments. This gives users the ability to have more fun and elevate their ideas or opinions through social learning. Make a comment or certain phrases stand out with the options to bold and italicize your text, change the color of the font, and the text background. You can also create a list to sort ideas by selecting the numbered or bulleted list icons. If you want, you can select Insert Math to enter mathematical expressions or LaTeX code with our mathematical keyboard. If you want to directly quote the material, select the quote icon. This can help you be specific with what your comment is directly referencing. If you want to quote another student and highlight their comment, you can also click on Quote This in My Reply. When submitting a comment, notify a specific person or group of people by using the @ symbol to tag users. A drop-down will appear with options to @ everyone in the course or specific people in the conversation. You also have the ability to respond with GIFs and emojis by selecting the 2 icons here. This is great to use if words don't exactly convey the tone of your comment. It also lightens up the mood. If you would like to reference a video or image or website that is not a part of the Perusall material, click on one of those icons here to insert the specific item. This is great to use if you are comparing the assigned material to another source, providing deeper information on certain key components of the assignment, and so forth. If you want to collect opinions from peers, definitely try using the poll feature here. If you're typing in a language that doesn't read from left to right, you can also select the right to left icon. If you would rather speak your comment as opposed to typing it out, click on the microphone icon to enable dictation. This will add text as you speak. It's super efficient. If you prefer for your classmates to not know that you submitted a comment, you also have the ability to make a comment anonymous by clicking this icon here. To edit a comment after it's been submitted, double-click on it. To delete a submitted comment, click on the trash can icon beneath it. But please note that a comment cannot be edited or deleted if another user has responded to the original comment.
So one thing I wanted to note about the anonymous function, oh, Greg, you're asking the question I was just about to answer. Yeah, as the instructor, you know who made the comment, so it's not anonymous to you as the instructor. You can set up Perusall to go by ID numbers if for some reason I know some instructors don't want to know who's doing what for grading purposes. They want to feel like they're a little more objective. You can definitely do that, but you're still going to know which comments are associated with either the ID numbers or the students' names. It's just the other students who won't know. So we are going to practice this now. I've uploaded a website article and I have inserted a few questions in there. You don't have to respond to the questions that I have put in there, but I want you just to play around a little bit and then we can come back together and talk about what you noticed and if you had any questions. So once you're enrolled in our Play Lab course, you just need to scroll down to the bottom of the home page and the assignment's right there. You can click on it. You're going to notice that it opens up and it will take you to Perusall. You don't have to do anything. It will just take you automatically into the app. This is pretty amazing because when I would do this before it was integrated into Canvas, the students were so confused. We had to go through this long process of you've got to have this class code number, and they would sometimes use their personal email addresses and then forget that they used their personal email addresses and not remember how to log in, and it was a whole big mess. But now that it's integrated into Canvas, it's pretty streamless. You should be transferred right in. There are some directions there, and you can just read through those directions and begin annotating. We're going to give you about 10 minutes or so, and we'll come back together and you can ask questions or just share some of your observations and things like that. Katie, I see your chat there. We can definitely do that at the end if people want to see how to do that. But there are also a lot of great resources that we have available to you that will show you all of like the ins and outs of the basics and that sort of thing. So please take a few minutes to go through and annotate, and then we'll come back together and discuss what you noticed. To start coming back to the Zoom here, I'm gonna go over a few things that I noticed, and I want to hear from you mostly though about what you were noticing as you were going through this article and annotating. Does anybody want to start us off? What did you notice? Maybe what did you like? What were you confused about as far as how Perusall operates, or something in the article itself? Anything that you might want to share? I see we have a lot of stuff in the chat too, so let me just take a peek at that. Anybody want to share anything while we're looking through here? I see JC asking for an email. Was that when you clicked on the assignment?
Yes, when I initially clicked on the assignment, it asked for an email, but then I went back, I did a renew of the page, and then it launched straight in and just asked me to sign off on the privacy statement and the terms of service, and then I was able to see the document. It was trying to get its electronic brains in order, so it worked out.
Okay, good. But that's good to know because we might have students who run into the same thing, right? So that's helpful to hear you just refreshed it and it worked. Awesome. Sarah asked about using this in an asynchronous setting. Do I find students don't bother to read each other's, or is it discussion? Okay, so I use this in both asynchronous classes as well as in-person classes. And I use it a little bit differently depending upon the format. So if it's in an asynchronous class, sometimes what I do is add in as part of the requirements that they need to respond to so many people's comments, as well as creating their own annotations, which helps to generate a little bit more of a conversation between students. You can also add in some requirements like they need to upvote a certain number of comments so you can see that they're actually reading other people's comments. And then also you can do a follow-up assignment to it. So you can say something like, you know, which comments did you find most helpful from other students as you read through the article? So there's a lot of different ways that you can help them to engage with one another. Um, and you said something, oh, so then in the actual physical classroom, what I do with this is before I come into class, I will look at all of the comments and look for areas where I'm noticing some really interesting things that people have seen or questions they have, things like that. And I actually will pull this up on the computer screen and say, okay, you know, we're going to discuss this reading today, but before we get into a class discussion, I wanted to point out a few things that you guys were noticing that I thought were really interesting, and maybe we can expand upon those a little bit more. Or sometimes I'll wait to do that until after I have them do some small group discussion about the article and what they were noticing. And then we'll come back together as a class and I'll say, okay, what did you find out in your groups? And then let's look at what everybody was noticing when they were annotating together. So it gives me an opportunity to use our class time to really delve into the annotations and the things that they were noticing as well. Yes, I did ask a question, and one of the questions people did respond to, and the other one they did not. And that's okay too. Often I'll throw in a few questions just because I'll have students who say, well, I didn't really know what to write. I didn't know what to annotate. I wasn't sure where to put a comment. And so just giving them a few little questions or prompts throughout the article can help them to have something to respond to, especially if they're first when they're annotating. It could be a little bit harder. So I'll often throw a few questions in there. Let's see, not seeing other comments. Sarah, did that work out for you? Did you start seeing them? Maybe people hadn't commented yet.
It was weird. I was trying to click on the top where it said all comments. That didn't work. So I had to go over on the right to the little widgets, gadgets, whatever you call them. When I clicked on one of those, then the bold showed up like a line. So it didn't, I couldn't see like all the annotations down the right hands down at one time, but I could then see
Yes.
that list. So yeah, it just looked
Yeah.
different from what you were seeing.
Okay, so that's good to know. And you do have to click on highlights to be able to see the different comments as well. So that's one
Okay.
thing. Once you notice something's highlighted, if you click on it, it will show you the comments associated with that highlighted material.
Okay.
But thank you for noticing that, because it's important if you guys do decide to use this, that you know what the student experience is like so you can answer these questions, right? Let's see. Shannon said, if another person's already highlighted a section you want to highlight, it seemed that you could only click on their highlight to comment on that section. Um, that's interesting. When I've tried highlighting it, I think I've been able to highlight over it, but that may be because I'm an instructor. I'm not sure. But even if you do click that same highlighted portion, you can add your own comment, and it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to their comment. If you want it to be connected to their comment specifically, you can use that @ symbol. And I did that, and I'll show you in a minute here on Sarah's first comment that she did, so you can see what that looks like. Kenneth, when you tried highlighting, it said too much highlight. Okay, yes, if you try to select too much text, it will say that. I'm not sure what the limit is. I feel like it's like 4 lines or something like that that you can actually highlight. So you do have to select a little bit less text. And I think that's a key thing for students to learn when they're annotating as well, is that if you highlight too much text, you're not as clear about what you're responding to within it or what the important piece of information was that you're trying to remember. So hopefully that helps them to highlight a little bit less. Other thoughts? I was just responding to the chat, but I'd love to hear your voices too. Yeah, Greg?
Thank you. I'll repeat some of the things I said in the comments. One is I really like those preparatory comments that were in there. That made it much, it was obvious what you were looking for. So I think from a student's perspective, that would be really helpful. It looks like it's grabbing the thumbnail images directly from Canvas, right? So that's pretty neat. And then I notice here, so I'm just thinking out loud for myself if I use this. I'm about maybe 15% down the page, and there's a link, right? There's an ad on the right side. And if I try to highlight, it's the paragraph that begins, classroom community agreements can help cultivate critically compassionate student-teacher interactions. On the right side, there's a link to campus, which is, I'm not sure what that is, but I can't select the top of that paragraph. It's really hard to do that without clicking on that link. So to me, that means I'm thinking, okay, if I were to do this with a live article, I might print the article, make a PDF, and do that instead of, so that way those links don't get in the way. Thank you. I love this. And
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. It is nice to have the links when you have an actual article where you want students to be able to go out to links. But yeah, for ads and things like that, it definitely can be distracting.
yeah, and then I want to ask a question, which I think I maybe saw someone else ask, is that if I have this as an assignment in Canvas, i- do I use the speed grader, and does that collect all of the single students' comments in one place, like the discussion, when you're doing this speed grader for discussion does?
Let me show you guys the gradebook in Perusall. I haven't used it in Canvas since it just got integrated, so I'm not exactly sure how it's going to translate into Canvas, but I do know that it creates a gradebook column for the assignment, so I'm assuming we can use SpeedGrader. But let me show you from the instructor side what it looks like here. Let me pull up. Okay. On Perusall. And what I find very helpful about the gradebook on Perusall is the analytics portion of it. That to me is really helpful. But so here I am, and if I well, actually, before I go into the gradebook, let me just show you a couple things I noticed when you guys were commenting here. Um, so here, Sarah noticed that this would be a good way to show students how to start an article. And so for me, commenting back to her, I was responding to what she said. So I used the @ Sarah, did you get some sort of a notification that you were tagged?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think I just saw it. And actually, I had a question on that because when I responded to you, I think I did it wrong. Like is there a special way to click on your comment to then comment, and how do you get that @ symbol? Because I think I might have just been like in the general responses.
Okay. Good question. So if you notice this thing down here where it says notify me of updates to this conversation, students can click this, or you can click this so that you are notified. But you'll also see over here, like I got a notification that somebody did something with one of my comments. So you'll see this over here, a notification. Let me go down to my other question. Okay, this one. Um, so you can see here that, right, somebody responded to me and it has the @ symbol, and then somebody responded to Leslie's comment and had the @ symbol to respond to her actual comment here. Leslie, do you know if you got a notification when that happened? Sorry to put you guys on the spot.
I didn't see anything. I don't know, where does the notification show up?
So I think it should be over here where you see this notifications, and I have a little 1
Oh,
right
okay.
there. Um,
It's also on that box on the right too, where you see that little red one.
yes, thank you. Right here, over here on this right
That's where I
side.
found mine.
Yeah,
But
good.
will those only show up as notifications if you have clicked on the box that says notify me, or are they automatic?
I think if someone uses the @ that's automatic.
Okay.
But if they don't use the @ and they're commenting on it, you do have to click that bottom thing that says update me. And students can change their settings in here so that it actually emails them if they get some sort of a comment on something that they've said, or they don't have to set that up. They don't have to get any sort of email. They just see it when they come in to Perusall.
I did see the 2 comments over
Okay,
on the side, or the notification for the comments. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to show you guys here, this question that I asked you was actually generated by the AI inside of Perusall. So I highlighted this piece of text because I thought, oh, that would be interesting to create a question. And then I let it create a question for me with its AI based on that text. Sometimes it works and it creates a pretty good question, and other times it's like, what are they even talking about? You know how AI can be. But this can also save you a little bit of time and have Perusall's AI generate the question. And as far as AI goes in Perusall, um, I really like their ethical standpoint on this. They do not use any comments from students or from you to help their AI learn. So anything that your students are doing in here, they're not using that for their AI to learn better how to respond to things or anything like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And then as far as the grade book is concerned, this is what it looks like on the instructor side. And so you can see all of your names over here. And I can see for this particular assignment, they have a couple of different automatic rubrics, and you can also customize the rubrics as well. But they're using AI to generate points for this rubric based on how it's been set up. So you can see here, like if somebody has a 1, a 2, I don't think anybody got full 3 points, so it's 0 to 3 points, but let's see what that looks like. So Greg, I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna call on you here.
Go
These are
ahead.
the engagement. I'm sorry, I should have waited for you to say yes. These are the engagement metrics. And you can see here, they have like this complicated scoring system and then this pie chart. You'll notice that the way they have their rubrics set up, the percentages add up to more than 100%. I think this is like 130% because they want to have multiple pathways for students to get to their to optimal achievement for an assignment. Personally, I look at this just to kind of see how the student did, but I don't like to use their grading system. I'd rather go and look at the comments submitted. So you can click this button here and I can see, oh, Greg said this and he said that. I could actually click on it if I wanted to see where it was within the text. But generally what I do is I look at these and go, oh, those are substantive comments. He did what I asked. Okay, I'm going to give full credit on this. So that's how I use the gradebook because I want to actually read the comments. I don't want to just have some AI grading and saying these were good comments or they weren't or something like that. Yeah, Greg?
Yeah, I'm wonder if I made a comment. So I added a comment where I used the GIF,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't see that on your list. And I wonder if the GIF itself would show up in the thing. And maybe I made the comment after you clicked on the thing.
Yeah, maybe. That's interesting. Generally, this has been pretty accurate. Like, let me see if I update what happened. When I've graded students, but it's still not showing up. Huh. I wonder if they don't count it because there's no text. That's interesting.
Well, let me see. Maybe I didn't hit the save button. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I didn't hit the save button. I must have because
Okay.
it's at the end
Yeah.
of the article, sense of belonging. Okay.
If you can hit the save right now, just so we can see what that looks like, that would be great. But you'll notice here that these analytics, it tells me that he read 100% of the content. He opened the assignment 2 times. This is the active time. He had a comment that elicited a response. He made 2 upvotes on others' comments so that you can see the different ways that he engaged with the text. Gail?
Yes, thanks. You were looking at the grading, the grade book within Perusall, and you said, I do my own. I said, I look at Greg's work. I'm going to give him full credit. Is that something you do within the Perusall grade book, or is that something you'll do in Canvas grade book?
Yeah, so great question. Like I said before, that this was not integrated into Canvas. So what I did in the past was I would look in here and I had the gradebook disabled so students couldn't see that in Perusall. And then
Otherwise, they can see it?
you can have it set up either way.
Okay.
They can see what their analytics were, or you can say, no, I don't want them to see, I don't
Yeah.
want them to know.
Okay.
But right now, I was actually hoping after you guys are done, I can go into our Canvas course shell and see how it shows up in there. And so maybe if we have some time at the end of the session, although we're getting short here, we can look at that together. But I don't know. Yeah, Gail?
I have one more question and another comment. you said that the AI within Perusall can generate, you highlight text and it'll generate a question for you. Are you able to edit it if you don't quite like how it's done? Okay, great.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You can, if you like part of it and you want to keep that part, but you don't want the other, you can absolutely edit.
And I really appreciate Dipali's comment about the potential for AI generated comments that students might, yeah. So, because that's a concern, even in my discussion forums, I have students who will, their discussion posts are completely AI generated. So, so anyway,
Yeah.
that was my comment to piggyback on that. Thank you.
Yeah, and speaking about the I have had a couple of students who have clearly used AI to generate, and then they'll copy and paste it into Perusall, and Perusall flags that. So
Great.
yeah, just so you know, they will flag it and they'll say this was copied and pasted. They won't say that it was AI, but they're going to tell you that it was copied and pasted from somewhere else. So you'll have to have a conversation with the student. I did have one student who was, said, I wanted to take notes elsewhere and paste it in, and I was okay with that after we talked about it. But I did have a couple of students who said, oh yeah, I put that into ChatGPT or Copilot, and that's fine. Then you have a conversation about it, right? Yeah. Tapali, did I say your name right?
Thank you. This is wonderful presentation, very, very interactive. And so thanks, Kelsey and Andy. Yes, I was looking around all different aspects on this. And yes, I have added what Gail mentioned. We have had, so I was curious how much extra time from your part took, because sometimes if you teach short-term courses and students, we have our SLOs and course content that we have to teach students, right? And this is wonderful for, student-to-student interactions and all of the above. But when I have to add anything extra in my Canvas, I'm extremely careful because of the accessibility issues and all other things. And it creates extra layers, right, from instructor point of view and student point of view. So I was curious, did it take extra time on your end? Thank you.
So a couple of different things I'm hearing there. Does it take extra time on my end? It does initially when I'm setting it up, and also to review things as well. But I consider this an assignment. So it's like if you were giving a quiz or something like that. It's something that's going to take my time anyway, to set up and also to grade. But it's also something that I think, because it's such an important way to engage students in the material, it takes the place of other things that maybe I was doing, and it helps them to learn the content a little bit more. If you guys noticed, I don't know if we have any math instructors in here, but that comments, had a comment video that we watched, showed a math document and how students can even use this for math. So is that answering your question?
Yes, Kelsey. So different subject areas, and we do OER and OEI and all different levels of things, right? So, but I can imagine it took a lot of time from your end, initially, right? And Greg is here, DE, and all around. I was very
Honestly,
curious.
it does not take that much time to set up,
Yes.
really. Like if you're
And
already assigning that material, you already know what you want to do with it. It doesn't take a lot of time at all. I'm
yes.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. And I've used other tools to practice and to introduce to students in business and management marketing area, right? We have ongoing things going every time. But usually I like them to play around as an extra credit thing, so that, just in case if some students are not comfortable or not, just when I logged into this Canvas course, first thing Perusall asked me about the commitment and contract and privacy issues, and so I need to sign up all these agreements, right? So it's all extra things. So but definitely would consider as an extra credit activity to introduce something new. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I really I'm very thankful for you to show everything interactively. So thank you so much.
of course. Thanks for coming.
I just want
And
to
then,
comment on that real quick. Once you create an assignment, if you're using the same documents and other things, you can copy that Perusall assignment into another Perusall course. So there's an easy way to pull things from your library and the course into a separate course.
And yes, last semester we have had similar thing that I attended one of the workshop, and somebody showed that if you enter your SLOs, Perusall can create entire course in 15 minutes. Entire course. So, there's so level of things that, if you enter marketing and enter your SLOs in 15 minutes, it can create all and content. And so I know as we speak, AI is growing so fast. So yeah, thank you.
I think to probably what you're referring to is the Conmigo, which you can also turn on in Canvas, and it can help you create those types of things.
yeah, and if you do use that feature, I think you have to also be aware that they may be pulling from paid items and your students may be charged a fee. So you have to be careful with that too. Um, I'm going to take Gail's question and then I'm going to turn it back over to Andy so she can show you a few more things. And then we'll have hopefully a little bit of time at the end to answer questions. And I know I can hang out for a little bit longer too if you have other questions. Gail, what was your question?
Oh,
Oh,
you're
you're
muted,
muted.
Gail.
I was thinking about the process of introducing this to students it was great that you had us navigate and I found my way stumbling here or stumbling there. Did you create a how-to video? Did you talk through the process of getting the students up to speed
Yeah.
is what I'm thinking about now.
So that video, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's just where my head's at because I know where I'd like to use it.
Yeah.
And then I think I got to get them,
So
up to
two
speed.
things. Perusal has excellent videos like the one that I showed you guys to show students how to comment. So that is something that I have students watch. I also have them do this first on the syllabus. So they'll do an annotation assignment on the syllabus. That's the very first assignment they do. Now, if you have a liquid syllabus, which is, I do for a lot of my courses, and so unfortunately it doesn't work well on those. But for like my composition course, my, not 300 anymore, what is it? ENGL T1000, right? For that one, I still have like a document syllabus because I want students to really practice annotation in that class. And so that's what I will do. Now, for the other classes where I have a liquid syllabus, yeah, what Greg just said, I have a very low stakes activity. Let's practice and play around with this. And then a follow-up activity of what did you think of this experience? What did you like about it? What concerned you about it? What questions do you have about it? So just something like that in the beginning.
A question, is this a Q&A time? I'm sorry.
Well, Andy's going to go over a couple of things really quickly, and then we'll have a little bit of Q&A at the end. I'm going to turn it back over to Andy here. Andy, sorry.
I'm going to show you real quick because there's been some questions about how does it work with Canvas. So this little button here at the bottom it was active here, but I clicked it because I wanted to make sure it worked. So this was releasing the grade to students. And once I clicked that button, then when I go to the gradebook in Canvas, it populates their grade here. Now, if they want to see comments or other things, you would either have to add comments in SpeedGrader or add comments inside Perusall and let them know where you're giving them feedback, if you're giving them feedback. I did want to talk a little bit, let me share this real quick about the types of things that you can include in your library. So you can include web pages, you can include content pages from your Canvas course, you can include podcasts and videos and then files. It directly links or connects to your Google Drive if you're sharing Google Docs, or you can upload PDF and Word documents. But any content that has video or audio embedded in it, what it is basically doing is kind of taking almost like a snapshot of it. And so those things that might be embedded into a page are not going to show up. So you're going to have to, if you want students to comment on a video, you would have to add that as a separate thing in your library so that you could add it as another element into your assignment. Let me go back to here. Inside the Canvas course, are you seeing the Canvas course right now? Okay. I've set up a module that has some examples of things that you might have in your Canvas course. So this is a content page, and then the next one was a content page. So how that shows up in Perusall, this is those content pages. When students open these, again, you can see here is that content page that has just text and images, and that shows up just fine. But this content page had a video, and you can see that video is not pushing through. Okay. Here's an example of web pages that I've pulled into the assignment. And so this web page has Google Slides embedded. If I click directly on the slide, that's not working, but I can open this in a new window and that would work. But if I wanted them to comment directly on this slideshow, I would want to add that as a separate element. Let's see, out of this. And then this, open this up. This is an example of an open text textbook, a LibreText textbook. Again, I can open up the textbook or the page just fine, but there are some embedded videos down below on this page. And again, you see those aren't playing properly. I kind of got out of assignments. Hold on. This is an example of documents, and then this is an example of multimedia. And so there's a podcast in here, there's a video that has accurate captions, and then there was a video that had auto-generated captions. And I actually uploaded a proper caption file, but it still took the auto captions. So just a note on accessibility, if you want to be really compliant, you might want to give students access to other ways to digest that material. And these assignments are in the Canvas course in the assignments area. And they're just there so you can kind of, you could practice more or play with it and see what things are like. Let me go back to the slideshow. There on this slideshow, I'm not going to play this video, but this is a quick video that shows you how to enable Perusall inside your Canvas course. And then this last slide has links to lots of other resources, including the Perusall knowledge base that has instructions and answers. They have a YouTube channel and they have some recorded webinars as well. And I put a link to that slide deck in chat. And then I also put a couple links in there, one to record your attendance if you haven't already. I got a message that it wasn't working, but I think it's working. Has everybody had a chance to fill out the attended?
I figured it out. It was me. Yeah, I
Okay.
figured it out.
And then there's a flex workshop survey that our PD department is asking that we ask folks to fill out. So I'm going to stick that back in there as well. But you are in this Canvas course. All of that material is in there, so you have access to it now. Okay, I tried to go fast. We have 10 minutes for more discussion and questions.
I'm sorry, did you say there was an attendance that we needed to fill
Yeah,
out?
I will put that back in chat as well.
Thanks.
Melissa, what's the question?
I was wondering about integrating this as the actual, like, where are we directing students to the assignment? So am I creating a separate assignment, and then, because I noticed in the one that you directed us to, it was in the assignments tab. So did you create your own, and then, yeah, I guess that
I did here. I can show you guys really quickly here how I did that.
Yeah. And while you're
sorry.
getting there, Kelsey, when you create the assignment in Perusall, as long as you click that Perusall link from your Canvas course, once you create the assignment in Perusall, it's automatically going to show up in your assignments in your Canvas course.
Okay, so something that I'm noticing here is that when it took me into Perusall, I lost my Canvas, and I may have closed that on accident here. So I don't even know if I'm still able to get into Canvas. It's been a while since I logged in. Let's see if it'll let me.
Here, I'll put a link in chat, Kelsey. You should be able to get.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oops.
Well, here I am anyway. Okay, so if I am in our Perusall Play Lab and I go down to the assignments area, let me move all these pictures. Okay. And of course, you can do this within the module too, just like when you create assignments. But let's say I'm in here and I want to create an assignment with Perusall, and I go to, add an assignment type. This one doesn't give you very much areas to actually customize anything until you create it. But let me just, create an assignment, and I'm going to save it. Okay. So once I'm in the assignment and I'm going to edit it, when I go down here to the assignment type, right, where is my?
Hey, Kelsey.
Yeah, did I miss something?
No, I think it's actually easier.
In Perusall, is that what you're going to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's only the second time I've created an assignment, so I'm confused too.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Sorry guys, I'm still learning how Canvas is integrated. I used to have my students have to go out to the Perusall site, and it was very complicated that way. Okay, so when I'm in Perusall here and I want to do something, if I'm under this assignments tab right here, I can click add an assignment. And what will happen is that you go through, like, you can create different kinds of assignments. There's a series of questions for you to add in here. I don't want to spend a lot of time on here, but once you create the assignment in here, so I'd pick the content that I'm going to assign. So I'd already have to uploaded something to it to pick that for the assignment. I can choose whether to assign all the content, or if I just want to assign part of it, I can do that too. Like, I can choose something within the text, give the students some instructions. I can choose whether to assign it to the entire class, or if I have groups set up, I can assign it to groups. I can decide, do I want to let them decide if they want to be anonymous or not? Maybe I want them to all be anonymous. All of these options are there. I can also make this an optional assignment, and some people choose to do that for like a syllabus or a practice assignment as well. Here's that rubric that they automatically have created. I can change things in here if I want to use this rubric, or I want to, understand things differently than the way they have it set up. So you can play around with that too. And then you click OK. And hopefully what should have happened is when I go back to Canvas and I go into assignments, I can see here's that one that I just created in Perusall. Did that make sense? Any questions on that?
Yeah, how do you link Perusall to your Canvas? I see that it's there and I see how you navigated it, but I don't believe at this point, if I went to my Canvas shell, I would see Perusall as an option.
Yeah, you would not, because it's not engaged. You have to actually enable it. And Andy's little video that she showed you in our slide deck shows you how to do that. And it's really simple. So I just want to make sure we have enough time to answer the other questions. But if you go to that slide deck towards the end, it has a video on how to enable Perusall in your course.
It's slide number 12.
JC, I think.
Yep, that's me. I had a question about this. You said that you could do it for a document that you created as opposed to a website or a textbook. I'm wondering what you would think about using Perusall for a virtual form of peer review. Right now, I have my students do their peer review on Google Docs. They share their papers into a Google Doc folder and give each other comments in that space. But I'm looking at Perusall and I'm wondering how much of a monkey playhouse would it be to try and use this for the same purpose?
Yeah, so Perusall actually has a whole webinar on how to use Perusall for peer review. They have a whole setting inside of it that you can do that with. I have not personally used it for that purpose yet. I've thought about it, but I'd love to hear how it goes if you decide to do that. But there's a webinar that explains how to use it and how to set it all up and make sure that students are being assigned to other students or however you want to do that. So it can absolutely be used for that. Annette?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for putting this together, because I recognize how much effort needed to be done with the Canvas course and everything like that. My question for you is, are there any recommended settings to make sure that we're maintaining confidentiality of students? What kind of set me thinking about that was that if I'm student A and I say at student B, and they opt into messages, potentially my information is going to their email that their connected email, and it's disclosing my comment or my thoughts or my personal experiences, perhaps. And so I just didn't know if there's like any recommended settings to preserve confidentiality, privacy, any sort of disclosure.
Yeah, so I think that I would look at it in terms of like how it would be in any class. Like if you had a discussion board and you put your comments on there and students, had access to that they have access to your comments. And I think most of our students know that everyone in the class can see it. And obviously it's unfortunate, but students could share it with other people if they want to say, hey, look at what this person wrote. So I don't know that there's a good way to do that other than allowing them to select to be anonymous, so that way, if somebody responded to someone and, they were posting it anonymously, it wouldn't have their name associated with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and is that by individual assignment? So if you have a content that's perhaps a little bit more, we in early childhood, we have content that, can be very disclosing in terms of, if students select to do that. And I would worry that, someone 3 years down the line has on their personal email, Molly Sue's information about her childhood or, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always allow students to post anonymously. I always keep that option for them. And you could definitely like bring that to their attention a little bit more. Like if you don't want your information to be out there, choose to post anonymously. Or you could actually set up a specific assignment that everyone is posting anonymously if you wanted to do it that way too. So that's
Great.
kind of up to you.
Thank you for those ideas. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Are there other questions? I know we're at our end here, so if anybody needs to head out, feel free to do that. I can hang out for a little bit if anybody has extra questions.
I was having trouble with getting logged in, and then I was having a lot of trouble with the audio aspect. Is there anywhere I've already, thank you for the link. I've already recorded my attendance for OER purposes, but is there something I need to sign in or something so that I can use this for flex hours?
I think that Andy, you go ahead.
As long as you filled out this survey saying, let me look real quick, make sure you're on here.
By the way, I love that thing where you have the background behind you. I've never figured out how to do that, or to put my picture instead of my name up front. I'm still very new to Zoom.
This picture is actually available on the college website in the public information area where they have photos that you can download. And yes, you have filled out the survey that you were here, and I will be forwarding that to the professional development office so they know. And then at CRC we actually do self-reporting, so you still will have to fill out your flex attendance on that form, and you'll get reminded from the professional development office on that. For Folsom folks who are here, I will forward this along to somebody at your campus who can hopefully get it to the right people.
Very helpful session. I'm new to campus, but I'm going to definitely try to figure it out. So thank you.
Welcome, Kirby, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
I fear it's too late for this semester for me, but I'm definitely interested to try and explore this for future semesters.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know I was saying this to Greg in the chat. It's like every time Flex comes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. I want to try that, but it's like 3 days away from the start of the semester. So we totally get that. I almost feel like it'd be helpful if Flex was like at the end of a semester, but we know how crazy that is. But yeah, think about it for next semester. Any other questions?
This is pretty cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm
Yeah.
glad we could finally get it integrated with Canvas.
Me too. It makes it so much simpler.
Yeah.
All right, then.
I'm going to stop the recording.
Sounds good. I'm not